Hi again, everybody. My name is Greg Anderson, and this is the Good Timekeeping Show with Greg Anderson. And today I've got a bunch of watches I want to talk about, but primarily I want to talk about this one here. This is the GW-9500. Well, it's one of the variations of the GW-9500. In fact, it's the newest variation of this watch as I'm recording this here in December of 2023. The 9500 was introduced this year, just a few months ago, with 3 different variations at first, and you can find them at shockbase.org. You see here's one that is, it's got the positive display and kind of the familiar black and red color scheme like you might have found on the 9400. Okay, this is your basic 9400. The 9400 was released in a lot of different color variations over the years, but the initial release of the 9500 came with this one with the black and red and the positive display, and then there was also the versions, a couple versions with the negative display. And I got looking at them, and of course I was thinking, well, that's an interesting watch. I know that some of the online chatter about these watches said people thought they weren't very good looking. An ugly beast, if you will, of a watch by some people's estimation. And I dragged my feet mainly because of the price. I love the features. I liked the idea of the watch overall, but the price kind of threw me off because I usually don't like to pay more than, well, even more than $200 for a watch. So when it gets up above $300 and closer to $400, I really drag my feet on those things. And I have enough watches, I can wait for a deal. So when it first came out, it was about $380, and I was dragging my feet. Eventually, some places were offering for maybe $370, so $10 off. And then I started to see them a little bit, maybe under $350, and I was starting to get tempted. And then I found out that this was coming. And so I said, oh, stop the presses. Do I want to try this very unique color variation on the 9500 instead? And then I saw, well, it looked like the initial price that they were talking about for this guy was going to be closer to $500. And I thought, now what do I do? Because when they're this expensive, I'm probably not going to collect all the colors, right? That's not my style. So dragged my feet, and then when they actually became available just a few weeks ago, I could see that some of the prices I was seeing, they weren't that high. And this one, somehow there was a guy that had it for $350. So you might not find a deal quite that good, but it's not going to be astronomically higher than the other color variations on this. So you might find them still for under $400, even if you want this amazing color combination here. So, and truth be told, I intercepted this one on its way to the North Pole, if you know what I mean. So we're going to do a quick video, and then we're going to see it again on Christmas morning. All right, so what is this? I looked at the promotional materials for this particular version of the watch from the Casio website and just some online sources, and I saw that in the promotional material, they featured this animal next to the watch. And I thought, well, that's an interesting animal. What kind of animal is that? Is that a made-up animal? Is that like, some digital rendering, AI just invented an animal? I thought, no, maybe not. So I thought, before I make a video about the watch, perhaps I should figure out what kind of animal this is in the pictures. And it took me a little while, at least half an hour of research on a weekend morning. And I finally figured out that this is a Fiji Banded Iguana. So you thought that the 9500 was an ugly beast. Perhaps you were one of the people that thought that. But this iguana is a magnificent beast, not ugly at all. So how dare you say that this watch here, which mimics the colors of the Fiji Banded Iguana, is an ugly beast. I think this is a magnificent watch, and so that's part of the reason I opted to go with this color variation on the GW-9500. All right, so with all that background out of the way, and by the way, just in case you're interested in the Fiji Banded Iguana, they are an endangered species. You're not allowed to own them privately in the United States, but you can in Canada. So if you go looking around the internet, you might find some guys up in Canada who actually have them as pets. But if you're in the United States, there's like 4 different zoos where you might be able to see them, including the San Diego Zoo, if you want to see the iguana. But if you want to just proudly wear the colors of that iguana, you can find this watch. And you can get it from, Japanese vendors or, see how it goes. I mean, this is early in the run as far as availability. So we'll just have to see if you're just totally excited about this. Look at the colors there. It just looks like that magnificent iguana. And it has all the features that I love in a G-Shock watch. I should also mention, this is a collaboration effort with the Earthwatch Japan, right? So what you're looking at here is another Love the Sea and the Earth watch. And there you see on the back of the watch, Love the Sea and the Earth 2023, and all the other relevant information you'd normally expect to see on the back of a G-Shock. Made in Thailand, stainless steel back, multi-band 6, carbon core guard. So there's some carbon fiber stuff going on in there. There is, let's see, water resistant 20 bar. There's the module 3553, and there's the model name GW-9500 KJ, and that's for the Love the Sea and the Earth edition. Normally, I don't do unboxing videos. I don't show you boxes, but this is kind of the unique box that it came in. So here, with the instructions in Japanese, inside this larger box, it still has that great color scheme there, was this box here, and inside this box was the watch. And if you can't read Japanese for those instructions, you can find them on the web, as I did. And so here's the watch. Now let's go through the functions and features and have some fun anticipating what it'll be like to wear this watch. Again, just comparing this to the Rangeman. So when rumors got spinning around that there was going to be a 9500, so as you go from the 9400 Rangeman to the 9500, no one knew exactly what this would look like. People were speculating how is it going to be different from the 9400. And I have two variations on the 9400. Again, there are a lot of these. If you look at shockbase.org, a lot of variations on the 9400. So yeah, people were excited about what can they do to improve on this. The 9400 had the triple sensor, so that's a thermometer, barometer, and compass. And the barometer actually gives you an altimeter because it's a barometric altimeter. So a lot of people love these, and they're built like a tank, and they're big, and they're just nice and beautiful. So people were speculating what would the 9500 have to offer, and here it is. So in a lot of ways, same functions as this guy here, just done a little bit differently. And by the way, if you don't want this version of the 9500, you can still watch this video, please, and I'll tell you all about how it works. And if you get one of the other color variations on a 9500 yourself, everything else I'm going to say about this watch is relevant to your other color version of the 9500. All right, so here you see on the face of the watch, some simple information right here, day of the week and date. There's the time with seconds, a few indicators here, P, that means it's PM there, and you can put it in 12-hour or 24-hour mode. Power save mode is activated now. The automatic light is activated. That's what that means. The battery is at medium. It could be low, medium, or high. It just happens to be medium right now. And that little bell means that I have activated the hourly chime on this. But these are the kind of things you're going to see on your main timekeeping screen. And instead of being the new Rangeman, the 9500 is actually part of the Mudman series. So you got mud-resistant buttons or pushers, all three. There's three there. There are two on this side. There's your sensor, and here's the light button right there. So very industrial looking, and maybe this adds to the idea that some people don't like this look, but it's built like a tank, and it has this beautiful, majestic iguana color pattern, and also the little logo there from Earthwatch. So yeah, lots of fun. Lots of fun. I know I'm going to have fun wearing and using this watch. Now, one thing that this has, it's a dual layer LCD. And so some people have expressed concerns that the face of this watch is not quite as high contrast as they would like. So part of the issue is, of course, you've got the regular LCD, and then you can see the readout there. You also have a solar cell built into the watch because this is a tough solar watch. It charges itself with exposure to just regular lighting. So those two layers, plus there's another LCD layer on here. So if I were to activate the compass, for example, you get that overlay right there, and this this is your compass, and right there where it has the little 3 things on the pointer, that's north. And it's not going to be maybe perfect here because I should hold it here so it's kind of horizontal, and then you don't get, the greatest view there from this angle. And then see, as I turn it, the that pointer wants to still point a little north. But I've got some electronic stuff going. Maybe the magnetic reception, if you will, is not the best right here, but that's how that works. So with that extra overlay of an extra LCD layer plus the solar in there, some people are complaining that, well, it's not as high contrast, especially at an angle like that. Now, if I'm looking at this and I'm thinking that's a pretty extreme angle, you can, maybe just kind of tilt your wrist a little bit better and get a better angle than that. But I just thought I'd be honest. That's how it looks. And if you're someone who gets really particular about, viewing angles, and it really bothers you when you can't see as well at an extreme angle, sorry, but I'll just say it doesn't bother me because I can easily adjust my wrist so I can see that thing. But for others, it's just not as high contrast as they would like. All right, well, with that out of the way, let's talk about here, right up there where it says the day of the week abbreviation and the date. You can change that by just tapping this button here, and now it's the month and date. One more push, and this is supposed to, you can see a couple dots there, but over time, this is going to show you kind of a graph of barometric pressure changes right through there. So, not the best demonstration right now, but there are 3 options for what you're going to see on that top line in your regular timekeeping mode. All right, so press the mode button. Now I get to the next mode, and this is actually a sunrise and sunset time. And this one, they've kind of fixed it for me. I thought that sunrise and sunset on the 9400 looked kind of backwards to me because they had sunset on the top and sunrise on the bottom. And to me, sunrise comes first. So that's how it is on this watch. Sunrise is first. And so it's telling me right here, based on my location, sunrise is going to be 7:43 in the morning right now, and sunset at 5 p.m. And see, I can use the button down here to move forward and say, well, what's it going to be coming up? Let's move ahead to like Christmas Day. What's sunrise then? Oh, look, it's 7:50 sunrise. So that's a nice feature there. If you're curious about sunrise and sunset, you can scroll around with these buttons backwards and forwards and check on, what's that going to be on another date. Okay, next mode. This is, this is actually a recording mode, a readout mode. What you can do is when you're using the compass and altimeter and barometer, you can save different headings and readings for when you're using that, and then they'll be saved to this right here, this recorded data. So this is a way to access that, and after I've had a chance to use this watch for a while, then there'll be some data in there that I can look at. But basically, it's going to save the reading of whatever this would be, the altimeter readout, plus it's going to show me the time when that was recorded. All right, the next mode is the stopwatch mode, and this is hours, minutes, seconds, and tenths of a second. So I can just start that right down there, and that'll go all the way up to 20. Well, actually, no, this one's not 24 hours. This is 1,000 hours. Yeah, as we heard the chorus of other watches celebrating. This is another watch I have with 1,000-hour stopwatch. So that's, I figured that out once before. I believe it was 41 days plus 2/3 of another day. Yeah, so if you set this and you don't stop it, it'll go all the way up to 1,000 hours, reset to 0, and keep on going. So if you want some fun, you can start this, and 1,000 hours later, watch it go back to all zeros again. So that's a cool feature. Then, and of course, it has, is it up here? Yeah, there's your split time right there by using the upper button. And then I can stop that, and I can reset just, so pretty familiar as far as, G-Shocks with stopwatches. Between these 2 buttons, start, stop, reset, and split time. All right, the next mode is your countdown timer. Now, this is a 24-hour countdown timer if you want. This one you can adjust. So let's see, I'm going to pull that down. I'm not quite used to these buttons. They're big and they're interesting, but I can eventually get it. There we go. All right, so this one, I can make this anywhere from 0 to 23 hours, and then minutes, I can adjust from 0 to 59 minutes, but it's only minutes and seconds. So you can't adjust the seconds. So whole minutes, all the way from 1 minute up to a full 24 hours. If I were to start it at all zeros and do the countdown timer, then it would be a true 24-hour and 0 seconds countdown timer. Okay, I'm going to stop and reset that. And let's see, next mode, this is the alarm mode. So there are 5 alarms on this, plus the hourly chime. And I've got the hourly chime activated right now. But there are the alarms, and you can set those. Most of them are on default right now. The 5th alarm is the snooze alarm. So most of them, they just beep for a few seconds, but the snooze alarm will beep for a few seconds, and then 5 minutes later, it'll beep again. 5 minutes after that, it'll beep again, up to half an hour. That's how the snooze alarm works. And it's kind of nice that your home time is visible right here, even when you're in this other mode. Some people really like that. And then here's your world time. So I've got it set to UTC, world time, and there's my local time down there. And of course, I can change my world time zone using the button down there. And it looks like I'm going eastward on the map when I use that lower button. And if I use this upper button, it's like I'm going back westward on the map. So choose my other time zone for my world time right there. Okay, next mode is, well, this is telling you the last time it was able to receive its radio control information. I mentioned earlier that this is a multi-band 6 watch. That means, for those of you who haven't heard my videos, because I've said this a lot, this is one of my favorite features. Multi-band 6 means there's a built-in radio receiver inside this watch, and it is designed to receive atomic time information from any of 6 transmitters in different parts of the world. So there's one in the UK and one in Germany. Of course, WWVB here in North America. And then there are 2 of those atomic time transmitters in Japan, and then another one in China. So altogether, that's 6 of them. And if you're within a reasonable range of those 6 transmitters, and you've got your watch set to the correct time zone, then at midnight, it will start to, it'll turn on its radio receiver and start to try to process the atomic time information. So if your reception is not very good where you are, there's interference from your computer or your monitor or your video lights or whatever you're doing there, then reception might not be very good. But if the reception is adequate, then it'll set itself to the right time, or it'll just kind of adjust itself, double check itself, because it's probably going to be pretty close already, and just keep itself synchronized every single night. So it'll try at midnight, and if it's successful, it won't try again until the next night at midnight. If it's not successful, it'll try again every hour for, I think, up to 6 times. And as soon as it's successful, it'll wait till the next night at midnight. Reception is best overnight for the type of radio transmission that this is going to receive. And so this is telling me that it received, that was this morning, at 5:03 in the mornings when this received, and it was probably still at the post office when this happened, because I just got this. Again, intercepted on the way to the North Pole. And now we're back to the regular timekeeping mode. So those are all the different modes. To set it up, to do the adjustment to set it up, I'm going to press and hold the adjust button. And now this is where I set my home city. So again, you can use these buttons on the side to go either westward or eastward. The top one is westward, the bottom one eastward on the map until you find the right time zone for where you are. I'll press the mode button. This is where I can select for daylight saving time to have it automatically change, or for daylight saving time to always be off or always be on. I'll leave it on automatic. Next, this is where you can choose your 12-hour or 24-hour display. And here's where you can manually set the time if you need to. I don't have to, because this is going to set itself with that atomic time receiver. But if you did want to manually set the time, this is where you go through that, and also manually set the date. And then as soon as it's able to receive atomic time, again, it'll just it'll overwrite whatever you did there. Now it's going to make a beep every time I change modes and start and stop a stopwatch and those kinds of things. So that's what that means there. It's going to beep, but I can mute that. And when I mute it, it's not going to beep quite as often, but it will still beep whenever it's the hourly chime, even when it's in mute mode. If it's an hourly chime or a alarm or the end of a countdown timer, it's still going to beep. But in most other cases, it's going to stay silent when you have it in mute mode. And there's just a little indicator right there, Kind of looks like a musical note with a line through it, and that also reinforces the fact that you're in mute mode right there. I'll press mode again. This is where my backlight can be set to either 3 seconds or 1.5 seconds. Normally folks would leave it on a shorter duration for the backlight just to save battery power, but since this watch is rechargeable using its own solar cell, I'm going to leave it on the longer duration for the backlight. Why not? And this is where your power save mode is enabled or disabled right here. And what power save means is, well, in order to save power, what it's going to do is it's going to turn off the display overnight. So basically, 10 o'clock at night, if you're not using the watch and it's in the dark, after about an hour, the display will go blank just to save power. And it's going to come back on again if you do any of three things. You could expose it to a good light source, just kind of be in a well-lit room, and that'll bring it out of that sleep mode. Or you press any button that'll take it out of the sleep mode. Or the other way is to kind of shake it, because it has a sensor in there to tell, well, it's part of the automatic backlight. So if you shake it up, it's going to say, oh, I think someone's wearing this watch. I should turn on the display again. So that's all your setup there. Oh, okay, a couple more things. Here is where you can choose metric or non-metric readings on your altitude, on your temperature, and on your barometer. So there, using these buttons here, you can adjust those to metric or imperial system. Is that what they call it? Non-metric. Okay. And so that's all the settings there. Go back to the beginning, except there's one more. When I press this adjust button right here, now while things are still blinking, just tap that one time. And this is where I can fine-tune the latitude and longitude for the sunrise and sunset. So right now, by default, since I was changing the time zones, it's gone back to the Denver latitude and longitude. But if I were to change this to, say, Salt Lake City, which is closer to where I am, I think the correct thing to do would be that for, and this one should be, I can look it up for sure, but I think I just adjusted now the latitude and longitude for Salt Lake City instead of Denver. And that can make a big difference on sunrise and sunset between Denver and Salt Lake City. It's about a half an hour difference. So depending on where you are in the world, just look it up somewhere. You can find out what is the latitude and longitude where you are. Set your time zone and then just fine-tune your own latitude and longitude in there, and then you're done with all your setups. And now again, when I go back to the sunrise and sunset, it's going to give me an accurate, more accurate than telling me what the sunrise and sunset would be in Denver. All right, and whatever mode you're in here, you can quickly go back to the main timekeeping mode by pressing and holding this mode button for just a couple of seconds, and boom, back to regular timekeeping mode. All right, so obviously a lot to talk about already with this watch, but oh, there's more. Like if you want to use the compass, it's that button up there, and that gets you into the compass. And again, it's not working perfectly because for it to work perfectly, I should be outside, away from, I've got light stands and I've got other metal things here interfering right now. So if I'm outside and I have this kind of horizontal to the ground, that's when I'm going to get my best reading on the compass. But it's a magnetic compass, and it's kind of nice. It gives you the bearing right there in numbers, but also that overlay gives you some pointers there on that second layer of LCD. And then the barometer, if I push that, that's going to give me barometer and also the temperature. It's not really 82 degrees in here, but since I've been handling this with my hands, it's picked up a little heat from my hands on there. So for the most accurate temperature reading here, you're going to want to take this off for about 5 minutes and then see what the ambient temperature is where you are. So some people think that's kind of a pain, but I'm not sure what else you could do about it. If you're wearing the watch, your body temperature is going to affect the thermometer there. Also, as far as the barometer, when I first got this, it wasn't set exactly correctly, but you have a way to fine-tune this. So if you have some sort of weather station, maybe in your house, or an airport nearby, and you can find out what the exact barometric pressure is at a given time where you are, this is where you can fine-tune that. So if I were to press and hold the adjust button right now, this allows me to fine-tune the thermometer. If I think that's wrong, I can go up or down and calibrate my thermometer that way. Or if I press the mode button, this is where I can calibrate the barometer as well. But I think this is the right barometric pressure for where I am right now. So I'm going to leave that right there. But again, you can adjust that in case it's not exactly right where you are, because that's going to affect a few things. As you see the barometric pressure going up and down, then you're going to know that there's probably changes in the weather based on the ambient air pressure being higher or lower or changing. And also obviously the altimeter is going to be affected by the barometer. So it just helps to get that set just exactly right. Okay, and then if I press the altimeter button there, this is showing me my altitude. And since I've set it in feet, you know, that's what it's telling me. And this is actually not exactly right for where I am. I think my actual altitude here at my house is a little bit lower. And so again, I can adjust that. And since this is affected by the you know, relative barometric pressure, you may want to adjust this right at the beginning of any time that you're going to do any critical activities where the altitude is critical to what you're doing. So if you're going on a hike, probably you know what the altitude is at the trailhead where you're going to hike, or you can look it up pretty easily. So this is a great thing to do. At the beginning of your hike, find out what the altitude is where you're starting, and then just do a quick fine-tuning as you begin on that day, as you begin your hike. And then as you hike, then you'll be able to see this is changing. And you may also see on the graph here some, you know, a little representation of you're going up or down on your hike. So that's how you do that. And of course, and you can get a lot deeper into how to use the triple sensor functions of this watch. I've just given you a brief overview, because you also see how right there's a 0 on the outer edge of the face. Yeah, and up there's a 10, and down there's a -10. So with the overlay of the barometer, for example, this is going to be able to show you the rising pressure or the pressure going down. That's what that overlay is going to do using that little, you know, graphical display on the right side. Okay, and I'm just going to take it back to here. As far as the automatic light, well, here's the button you press for the backlight, and let me just quickly show you how that works. So this is, as far as the display goes, this is the major difference between this version and the others, is this has a little bit of a logo for that Earthwatch organization that shows up in the backlight, and that is an LED backlight. So, you know, instead of electroluminescence, so you got a LED back there that's lighting that up. I think it works pretty well. I like that. It's a nice clear light. And if you want it to come on automatically, here's what you do. From like this main timekeeping mode, if I press and hold this backlight button for just a couple of seconds, this LT here on the face is either going to be on or off. Right now it's on, which means the automatic backlight is enabled. But if I just hold that for a couple of seconds, and the LT goes away, now the automatic backlight is not enabled. And what the automatic backlight does, and I like to enable it, this is just nice for me, it means without having to press a button, if you're wearing the watch and you kind of tilt it up towards your face like that, just in that position there's a sensor inside that knows that you did that, and then it'll turn on the backlight for either 1.5 or 3 seconds, whichever one you've selected. So that's kind of nice. Without having to hold and press any button, you know, you just move that up there and turn on that backlight automatically. Some people disable that because, you know, they think it's going to drain the battery. Also, if you got the automatic backlight on and you're wearing a jacket or gloves or something that are covering the watch up, then that backlight's going to be constantly coming on. Right now, it's not coming on because I'm in a well-lit area. So that solar cell kind of works as a light sensor. And what that means is, even though the automatic backlight is enabled, because it's light here, it's not going to come on. But if I'm in the dark and I do that move like that, then it will come on. So anyway, just a couple more thoughts. Obviously, people are very interested in this display because it has large digits. So let's just compare this to some other. I think this is a Casio watch that has relatively large digits. But if you were to take, oh, here's another, love the C in the Earthwatch, just a regular G-Shock Square. You can see that the digits are noticeably smaller than those digits there. Look at this classic G-Shock design there. Again, smaller digits. But here's a ProTrek watch that also has the kind of the dual layer LCD on this one. See, it's got that stuff there. But this is a completely different readout for this one here. But you can kind of compare the look of that and the angle, the viewing angles on this dual layer LCD ProTrek with that guy there. Compare that to something like here is a more budget friendly watch that has a triple sensor. It doesn't have that dual LCD, but it does have, you know, compass, heading right there. It's got a couple indicators there for the compass, and you can see how maybe this does better at a variety of angles on that watch there. And but compare the size. See, here's a very budget friendly Casio right there that has large digits, and so you can compare what do these digits look like compared to that one, and look at how in this mode it's a very similar display. Isn't that nice? Now compared to the G-Shock King, people love the G-Shock King because it's so large and it's kind of built like a tank, but it's mostly the case. It's kind of funny there that the G-Shock King, and I like the G-Shock King, don't get me wrong, but those digits aren't very big, even though the watch is big. I'll compare it to my daughter's watch right there. Look at that. The G-Shock King and my daughter's watch, those digits are almost the same height. In fact, this, yeah, hard to tell. So anyway, yeah, G-Shocks are not well known for large digits. So if you're looking for a G-Shock with large digits, here's one you might consider, because this is one of the largest you're going to see on you know, an authentic G-Shock, okay, versus right here the range band. Okay, so that's a good comparison there. Other than that, I don't know what else to tell you, except that if you want to get this color, you know, save up a little bit, you know, skip the Happy Meals for a few weeks, and maybe you can, you know, make up the difference in price. This wasn't so bad as far as the price goes. It might be a limited edition, so by the time you watch this video, you know, maybe it is harder to get one of these, and maybe by then they'll have other color variations available, except for the initial 3 plus this one right now. So four to go with. But anyway, I'm just going to keep talking about this because it's just fun to see and fun to talk about. But what I really need to do is put it back in the box and get ready for Christmas. So Merry Christmas to you, and I'll have more videos after Christmas too. So I hope you'll come back here for more episodes of the Good Timekeeping Show.